guys, I've spent the last week really kind of looking at Jethro Tull and Ian Anderson and Martin Lancelot Barre. And man, Martin is a great guy. So is Ian. They're not together anymore in Jethro Tull. That happens in bands. Bands just kind of go their separate ways. But before we talk about Martin, let's talk about Ian for a second. Ian wrote this song because he wanted a song that sounded like a locomotive. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One of the reasons is Ian doesn't drive. And so he's taking the train everywhere all the time. And apparently the train appears in a lot of his songs. Sometimes he takes a bus, sometimes he has a driver, but he doesn't drive. And he was just, the song was about runaway, the human race running away with itself. So, that's it. But the thing is, there's a part, right? That thing is actually even louder than the drums if you listen to the record. And that was meant to be the train. So the way this was recorded, Aqualung, the actual record, apparently was kind of a struggle to make, the entire record, right? And this particular song was even more of a struggle. Apparently they played it as a band, couldn't get it, so they started from scratch with kind of just clicking drumsticks and everybody adding their parts separately, which is kind of how records are made these days. Now, the thing that blows me away is, Ian Anderson is he writes a lot of complex music, a lot of really far-reaching compositions. This is definitely the simplest Jethro Tull song I know of, and for me, in some ways, the most satisfying. But he lists this in his top 10 of all-time Jethro Tull songs that he has created. So that's pretty cool. He loves it too. And I believe it's Ian playing this part. And what Martin does is brilliant, because he does these really cool little fills that are call and response for the vocals. And really, every time the vocal turns around, you recognize that, right? That happens actually at the end of every cycle. And it's not identical to the vocal, but it's complementary to the vocal. And that's really, really a brilliant thing. So there's a cool interview with Martin Barre where he talks about the recording of Aqualung. So I was thinking of showing Aqualung, but Locomotive Breath is just so much more fun. You got... It just moves a lot slower. And then when it gets to the solo, it moves in double time. We'll look at that again in a minute. But just take a second and look at a piece of this interview where Martin talks about having to, if he doesn't get his solo in the first two takes, Ian takes over and does a flute solo. Check this out. It's really interesting what he says about this.
When we were recording Aqualung, in those days, you probably had one or two goes to do a solo. And if you didn't get it, the guitar solo became a flute solo. So you had to get in there quick. But I was doing my first take, and Led Zeppelin were doing Led Zeppelin 2, the second album, in the studio below. And we hadn't seen them. They'd been buried down there for weeks and weeks. And in the middle of the solo, Jimmy Page came up, and he was in the control room. He was going, waving to me, and I just thought, if I wave back, I'm going to blow my solo. So I just sort of turned around and carried on and ignored him.
So these days, Martin plays a PRS. And but I'm playing this one because I want to kind of honor the original vibe when that song was made. So let's talk about what he says there. I mean, think about this. These guys recorded Aqualung upstairs in a studio, and downstairs, Led Zeppelin was recording Led Zeppelin 2. And I've listened to a lot of interviews with British musicians, and it's commonplace for these guys to hang out together and go to pubs afterwards. So even in later years, you would have the guys from Pink Floyd, the guys from Def Leppard, the guys from all these bands, U2 even, they would all be like hanging out together in the pub afterwards from, seemingly disparate styles of music. They all really respected each other and were fans of each other. And you think about that. I don't think that happens so much in this day and age, but how magical that must have been to be upstairs recording Aqualung and having Led Zeppelin down below, having Jimmy Page walk in. I mean, pretty cool. So I realized that with Aqualung, Martin's style, and it sounds like a lot of you feel this way too. Martin's style is very dear to me, and I think it's in my DNA because when I hear him solo, it's very similar in a lot of ways to the choices I make. Let's just dive in for a second and listen.
Start away uneasy, you poor old sod, you see.
Here we go. I mean, it's really funny. I kind of play like that. Maybe a lot of you do too. So this ninth, and then the choices he makes during the solo are very similar to the kinds of things I do. So I think he's probably one of my top 5 influences in guitar playing. And you can really hear that this is a first or second take because it's really spontaneous. And the smart thing about this solo, that's the mid-high note. He doesn't go there until really late in the solo. Let me dive in and show you this. Let's check it out. And these blending double stops, check this out. That's the highest note, and he waits to get there, and then he goes even higher right here at the end. Check it out. So it's really well structured for a spontaneous improvised solo off the top of his head. And then one more thing, I want to go back here to the beginning of the song, and let's talk about his fills on Locomotive Breath, because these are really cool.
In the shuffling madness, locomotive breath. Time lose up, headlines dead. Oh, it feels a bit steam breaking on the brow. Didn't want to stop, oh, it was
See, there's that turnaround like I was talking about. It fits so well with the vocal. So anyway, Martin is doing great right now. If you go to his website, Martin Lancelot Barre's website, which is the coolest name in the world, you go to his website, and he's touring right now. And he has a passion for music that's pretty incredible, a pretty positive guy. I'd love to go see his band because I'm sure they're great. And he's 70 years old, and he's out there right now doing gigs. So to me, he's an inspiration. Great guy. You know, take a look at all of his stuff online. I really kind of fell in love with the guy. Just, he's just so positive and so interested in music here at this point. So let me do another guitar solo just for fun, and then we'll take some questions. All right, guys, thanks for showing up today. I really appreciate it. gosh, that's so fun. I want to let you guys know, though, there's something else happening today. There's a special offer on the Masterclass. So there's a link just below this video, and there's a discount on the Masterclass. We have a brand new beginner's course that's over 100 videos. And then, of course, like another 1,600 videos that are intermediate at every level. The guitar, it's so fun because you can, the blemishes actually are assets. Just the sound of the guitar is so, primal. It's great on a song like this in E minor. Just anything you do sounds good, I believe. I mean, you don't have to be afraid of a mistake in a song like this. Oh, that's so good, Mark. Martin was your inspiration in getting a PRS CE24. Yeah, no, I'm not using high watt today. I'm using my Divided by 13 and my Noble's ODR1 distortion box. Well, overdrive, and the reissues, the Noble's reissues are pretty good. Hey, I'm also using something I'm going to show you because he deserves a shout out if I can get this up here. So for the solo, I have the Andy Timmons Halo pedal on just for a little bit of delay. Right? Just a little shadow of delay, and it's a really cool pedal. He has it set to where the delays are darkened, and that's the most desirable thing to me when I'm soloing, is to have a darkened delay so the top end is taken away so it doesn't compete with the original signal. See how dark it is? And also with some modulation, so it creates a widening effect, a little bit of chorusing only on the delay. So the original signal is dry, and then the delay is darkened and slightly modulated. It's the best. One last reminder, special on the Masterclass, click below if you want to grab it. Somebody just asked, Lamar, there goes your question. You just asked if I'm sensitive to neck size. I've gotten much more sensitive to it. I like a thinner, smaller neck. This is called a medium C. It's just right for me. The PRS necks are generally a little on the smaller size. That's what's right for me these days. I think, earlier in my life, any kind of neck, I would just grab it and gone around it. But these days, I'm really specific. I want the guitar to be very easy to play. I don't think you should be afraid of that. If you like really low action and a smaller, thinner neck, that's what you should have. That's where I am these days. Absolutely true. Yeah, Roger Fisher from Heart would be amazing. That guy was kind of a genius, or is kind of a genius. That is a great idea. Well, everybody, thank you so much, man, for man and woman. Suzanne, thanks for joining us, guys. And this is really an exciting one today. And let's get on with our weekend. Have a great one. I'm going to play us out. And thanks again. I really appreciate the support and all your enthusiasm, all your questions too. See you guys next time. Here we go.